Welcome to the Republican National Convention. This is FoxNews.com, live streaming from the Convention 2016. I'm Juan Williams, and I'm joined by Eric Beach, co-chair of the Great America PAC, which, of course, is supporting Donald Trump, now the nominee of the Republican Party for President of the United States 2016. Eric Beach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Juan.
Now, Eric, fundraising, big issue with the Trump campaign, especially as compared to Hillary Clinton. The Super PAC is separate from the campaign. How's the Super PAC doing?
We're doing well. I mean, look, we had our best month. We had close to $3 million in the first 10 days of July. We've raised another $3 million. So, I think part of this is he was a self-funder in the campaign. She's had 16 years to basically have a Super PAC. Right. She's been running for president very long. So, of course, naturally, she's going to have a bigger war chest.
What about going into the fall? Everybody's looking post-convention right now. And the question is, Trump has not been able to run ads from his own campaign so far. It's a little bit surprising to people. Is the Super PAC able to compensate for that?
We are. Actually, we're running a couple of ads. One of our ads was called The Enemy, featuring Carl Higbie after Orlando. Was considered one of the biggest impactful ads of the year.
Describe it for the audience.
Yeah, so Navy SEAL Carl Higbie, who's a great American, talked about the Orlando shootings, and our view is there's no bigger discrepancy between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton than their response on terrorism.
Right.
And how to protect this country. So we're going to focus on that. Next week we have Dorothy Woods, who's the wife of Ty Woods, who was in Benghazi.
Who died?
CIA officer, yes. Right. So she's cutting an ad for us, and we'll have some other ads as well coming out. Really focus on two things, the economy and terrorism.
And what are you hearing from the Trump campaign side about their fundraising?
Well, I think these things take time to develop. I think this week is a coordination of everyone to come together. You have the big dollars and the small dollars coming together, right. And it's just natural. And the interesting part about the fundraising is she spent $30 million, he spent $0 on ads, and really they're within the margin of error in all the swing states. So it's about efficient spending. He didn't do this in the primary campaign, meaning to go out and have to fundraise, so he's been building those relationships. And this week's about uniting behind our candidate, and then you'll see the fundraising grow dramatically.
So one of the things that political reporters, people like me, do is we talk to the big donors from prior campaigns about their behavior. And so far, it looks like a lot of the big donors, for Romney, for the Bushes, they just don't connect with Donald Trump.
Well, it's interesting. I look at the big donors as a form of patriotism. That's what they do. And what they want is a path to victory. Right. And what we've tried to do is establish, okay, how are you going to win in those certain states like Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, maybe New Hampshire, and North Carolina, things of that nature. You have to look at that. Donors are becoming smart. They don't want their money to be wasted. Right. They've earned their money. They don't want it to be wasted. So I think, again, you're going to see a combination of all these efforts pulled together. And because they're a little bit smarter, I think, they want their money to be spent wisely.
Is there a competition between the Trump campaign and the down-ballot efforts, especially the Senate races? Because I see that, for example, the Koch brothers are putting money into the Senate races, but not the Trump campaign.
Well, for them, I think this is maybe something they're more comfortable with at this point in time, and it's very important that we retain the Senate and do what we can to protect it. I actually think this is going to be a wave election. I think there's a lot of momentum and energy behind Donald Trump, much like Bernie Sanders on the Democrat side. So I think what you'll see is some of the down ticket races. You can argue with Donald Trump about his rhetoric or even about his positions, but you can't argue that he's not growing the party. I mean, he's bringing in new voters into the party, and I think us as a party, the down ticket, we should really embrace it and try to capture that momentum.
Well, that makes sense. One of the key points, I think, of this convention is presenting that picture of unity. Now, you're still having some people who have not shown up. The biggest one, Governor Kasich of Ohio. When donors ask you about that, what do you say?
Well, I think each person has to talk for themselves. And in the primary election, and most like a lot of primary elections, it takes time to heal. It was a very competitive primary election, and I think people have to stake out their own ground. And in Governor Kasich's state, he's been he's been part of D.C. and running Ohio, and he's done a great job as governor. So I think they have to really look at it for themselves, from our standpoint, you know, in 2012 it took Mitt Romney a little bit to heal and bring in some of the conservatives. Same with McCain in 08.
That's true.
So this time around, we just happen to have to bring in a little bit more of the donor class, because the conservatives are with us, the grassroots are with us. So that's going to all come together this week, and it's going to explode after this week.
You know, before we started doing this live streaming for FoxNews.com, I said to Eric, Eric, you look pretty young to be running a super PAC for a presidential candidate. Eric surprised me, told me he's actually 39. Good looking, but 39. He's able to do it. Eric, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
FoxNews.com, live with you from the Republican National Convention 2016 in Cleveland, Ohio.